the 32 and 33 week update. These weekly things just aren't working out. I feel like I'm failing more and more each week. And really it's just because I'm tired and busy and I don't get a chance to sit down at my computer very often anymore. So what have I got? I am sitting at 33 weeks. There isn't a whole lot of difference between 32 and 33 weeks, so I'm just going to kind of talk about them together. At 33 weeks, I'm 147 pounds, so that is up 26 pounds, I believe. It's 121, yeah, 26 pounds. So I'm likely going to go over my 30 pound, but such is life. The baby this week is the size of a cantaloupe, and last week it was the size of a pineapple. It feels a lot bigger than that, definitely, but it's about the size of a cantaloupe. Now, oddly enough, in next week, I think it's next week. Oh, I'm getting so confused. 33 weeks. No, it's the size of a pineapple. And then it becomes a cantaloupe and then a honeydew, which in our grocery stores here, honeydews and cantaloupes are pretty much the same size. So I don't know where they're talking about cantaloupes being smaller than honeydews. So what have I got for updates? So nursing. Still nursing. I really should watch my previous week's video before I record because I'm not sure where I left off last time about nursing aversion and how bad it was and how I've changed some things. We no longer side lie to nurse. I'm going to skim over this in case I already went over it, but I'll give you enough details that if I didn't, you kind of understand. We've changed how we nurse, so I don't side lie. I now rock on the rocking chair while I nurse my daughter. And then I transfer her to her bed when she falls asleep. The aversion's still there. It's definitely not as strong, but I can handle it. The pain is starting to come back in my nipples when she nurses. There are definite letdowns. She's getting quite a bit of colostrum these days. The colostrum production has definitely stepped up. And I have night weaned, so she no longer nurses at night. In the middle of the night. She still gets to nurse to sleep at bedtime, and I'm able to unlatch her now before she's deeply asleep, and she just lets go and puts her head on my chest. And then if she wakes up during the night, she does not nurse. And when I first started doing that, when I first night weaned her, those evening wake-ups were happening so frequently. They were almost every day, sometimes twice, well, I guess every night, sometimes twice a night. But the last couple of weeks have been really good. She isn't waking up as often. She did wake up last night, but she's not even 2.5. I don't expect her to sleep through the night 100% of the time yet. So lots of colostrum. Still tired, not as exhausted as I was a few weeks ago. That seems to have diminished a little bit. I did have a midwife appointment a little while ago, last week. On October 2nd. I had a midwife appointment and everything's looking good. Baby's heartbeat sitting right around 150-ish, which old wives' tale say that's a girl. Baby is sitting up along my right side, same position that Kaylee was in. Head down, bum up, back to my side. It's not to the front where it should be, but it's also not to my back. It's not sunny side up. So it should be nice and easy for it to twist a little bit when it needs to get down into my pelvis. I am measuring small. I'm measuring about 3 centimeters smaller. So at 32 weeks, I was measuring 29 centimeters from my pubic symphysis, or from my pubic bone to the top of my uterus, the fundal height. They're not overly concerned about that because I've been measuring 3 centimeters below for the last little while of my pregnancy. And really, I'm carrying super, super low, and the baby's already kind of tucked behind my pelvis. So there's going to be less baby sticking up for them to measure. So they're not worried about it as long as I stay within 3 centimeters of whatever week I am. And I don't change my trend. Like, I'm trending at 3 centimeters below my week right now, as long as I didn't start it measuring the week that I was, then measuring 1 centimeter below, and then 2 centimeters below, and 3 centimeters below, and kind of falling off, I'm still measuring appropriately. We did talk a little bit about a home birth, about my chances of tearing this time, because that is probably my biggest concern about having a second baby, is I tore really badly with Kaylee. Almost to the point I had to go to the hospital to get stitched up, but I didn't. And it was because she came fast, because I pushed through the pain instead of breathing through the pain. There's a lot of stuff, and I tore really good. I needed about 20 stitches to stitch everything back together, and my concern is that scar tissue tends to be more fragile than your regular tissue. So if you have scar tissue and you put a lot of pressure on your skin near that scar, the scar is likely to tear before your healthy skin does. So my concern was I don't want to tear again, so it is less likely that I'm going to tear this time because everything else is stretched out a little bit more. It was at the very end that I tore last time, so everything did stretch a fair amount. And we're going to just focus on not pushing through the ring of fire, and potentially, even if I'm not in the water at the time, side lying, not going in like a full down squatted position where gravity's really helping pull the baby out, just to ease everything and make it go a little bit slower. So they've assured me that it doesn't mean I'm going to tear more. I might still tear, I might not. I'm hoping I don't. But the plan is still to be at home and to have a water birth. I have officially booked my photographer, so the deposit has been made. I hope she can make it here in time. She lives across the border from me, but it's pretty close. It's about a 15-20 minute drive from the border, and she has the ability to get through the border quickly and stuff, so I'm hoping she can make it on time. Not even so much for the labor and like the delivery itself per se, but I really want to get some good pictures of Kaylee and the baby and Kaylee's reaction just to the whole thing in general. I figure if I go into labor when my husband's at work and everything, then I will call the midwife, I will call the photographer, I will call him as well. And until someone else gets here that can kind of tend to my daughter, she's going to get to watch some Elmo or Daniel Tiger or Furchester Hotel, because that's Elmo too. And even Barney, because lately she's been obsessed with Barney too. So any of those, and I will set her down and let her watch TV while I labor so that she is occupied. And granted, she tends to sit and stare at the TV quite a bit unless I'm doing something. Then she kind of goes back and forth. But I don't mind if she comes to visit. I just don't want her climbing all over me and whining at me and needing kind of my constant attention. Some more colostrum to the point where I pre-stretch my nipples before she latches on when she nurses, because the initial latching and stretching of my nipples really hurts. So if I can pull my nipple out a little bit and just kind of stretch it, it really helps with it being a little bit less painful when she latches. And I'm finding lately that when I stretch them, I'm getting some colostrum coming out, so there's definitely lots there. She's also doing a lot more swallowing. My pubic symphysis is back in full swing. I'm not sleeping well at night because it's too painful. It hurts to sit on the floor and play with my daughter now. It hurts just all the time. It hurts to carry her while she's asleep and lay her down. Excuse me. It hurts to carry her from the rocking chair to her bed because I'm kind of bent over and hunched. It just hurts in general. I am icing it at night. I have an ice pack that I bring out, I wrap in a cloth, and I sit in bed for about 15-20 minutes, and I do 10 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and then 5 minutes on generally. Again, just to give it that little bit of extra boost so that hopefully it's better. In general, it tends to help a little bit, but like last night, didn't help at all. Still super sore and rolling over and getting comfortable, even with pillows, and I don't know what I'm going to do because there's still about 6 more weeks of this, and it is definitely not fun. I'm definitely feeling bigger. I'm definitely feeling heavier. It's getting harder to pick up my daughter. I'm getting comments now because when I carry her front on, so she's actually sitting on my stomach, and I get a lot of jokes and comments about how she has a nice shelf to sit on, and does sibling actually like it, and things like that. And I mean, I don't know why I'm so tired right now. I just put her down for a nap. Maybe that's why. But sibling doesn't really have a choice in the matter. Sibling is moving all the time. Sibling does not like the ice pack on my pelvis at night because baby Jones's head is so low that I'm pretty sure it can feel the coolness of the ice pack. And I get a lot of movement and a lot of, I guess, protest when the ice pack is on. So I think that's all that I've got. For those of you that have kind of stumbled across these videos, do definitely comment, rate them, subscribe. But as a just general note, I have them set so that it does not notify my subscribers when I upload a new video. Only because there's some people on there that have subscribed to me that I'm sure don't want to know every time that I upload a video, / I don't really want them to know that I'm uploading videos yet. So if you've stumbled across this, make sure you come back and check my channel fairly regularly. I try to upload them every week. Again, I didn't last week because I just didn't. Oh my goodness gracious. So definitely do that. I will show you guys my belly. I have, I guess, a minor update on TMI. We're going to talk a little bit about sex today, but not much. But we will delve into that after I do my belly shot, so that those of you that don't want to hear TMI, you guys can leave after the belly shot. So, roll my stool back. Make sure it's up all the way. There we go. So that is sideways. We've got front on. You can see the chair wants to roll or to swing that way. And then, whoa, the other side with the shirt on, with the shirt up. Still no stretch marks, but you can see like the top of the uterus is there. There's like a ton of empty space, well, not empty, but a ton of space between my boobs and baby. So I'm really low. Belly button is definitely flattened out. It's starting to stick out a little bit, and it's very smooth. It's very, very soft, whereas the rest of my belly is a little bit hairier. Oh, ouch. So other than that, those of you that, oh, and one more thing before some of you guys leave, is this. I've got so much peach fuzz on my face that I feel like I've got more of a beard than my husband does, but it's peach fuzz, so you can't really see it. But there's just so much hair, and it's so weird to know that in 4 or 5 months, it's all just going to start falling out. I'm going to be able to do that, and I'm just going to be pulling out clumps of hair off of the sides of my face. My skin is starting to act up a little bit. It's really dry right along my jawbone, just up to about there, but just mostly on my left side. But it's just super, super dry and textured and almost like, I don't know, weird. Not making me happy. I've been using lots of lotion on it. But that's all I've got. So for those of you that are heading off now, I will talk to you guys later. And for those of you that are sticking around, let's get into it. So TMI, I guess kind of in a way, the nipple and colostrum and stuff like that is TMI. But I mean, I talk about that stuff with family anyways. That's no big surprise to them. So hemorrhoids still there, but again, still not bothering me at all. Vaginal discharge, still there. It's not horrendous. I do wear panty liners just because it makes things a little bit cleaner and nicer and fresher, but definitely not, it's not horrible by any means. And then sex. Sex has been, I'd say, relatively non-existent. If you talk to my husband, he says that it is non-existent. but it's been relatively non-existent since shortly after getting pregnant because my libido just disappears. And at the beginning, you're so exhausted and you're nauseous and you just don't feel well and you just want to sleep. So going to bed to mess around is just, it's not appealing at all. I'd say on average we're probably having sex once every maybe like 2 months ish. And from like middle of first trimester to end of second trimester was slightly more frequent ish, maybe. But it just doesn't happen much. It isn't comfortable. Even when I didn't have a belly, it wasn't comfortable. It hurt. Even though it's not like things are dry. It's not like it's a lack of lube. It's just things are so swollen and puffy and gross that it's just not something that I feel like very attractive doing. So it doesn't really happen very often, much to my husband's dismay, although I did tell him just last time that, in like 14-ish weeks, I'm going to be cleared from having the baby and everything, so it might start to happen slightly more frequently, but even with my daughter, I was in significant pain until she was about 8 months old, and my period was starting to come back. Just because things were so dry, my body was like, no, you're busy, you're tired, you're taking care of an infant and a baby, and it was the last thing on my mind. But once my hormones started to even out and I started to cycle again, then it was fine. But the first little while, it was definitely very uncomfortable, but just do what you have to do, and we take things slow, and if we need to stop, we stop. But that was something I wasn't prepared for. I figured it would be relatively normal again pretty quick, but it wasn't. So still out of breath because baby pushes up on my diaphragm so much. I will talk to you guys next week, probably, hopefully next week for the 34-week update. I'm actually 34 weeks just today now, so it'll be the next week next week I will update you on this coming week. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.